What's up, YouTube? It's time for another pickups video, and today I'm going to show you the games I got during the month of June 2016. This month I did a little travel for work. I got to go to Little Rock, Arkansas, which is such an exciting place, you can tell. But there were a lot of good game stores down there, and actually got some pretty good stuff at the stores down there. So I'm going to show you a lot of the things I got in Arkansas, as well as in my home base of St. Louis this month. So let's get started. I'm going to talk first about some games I got for Sega systems. And the very first thing I got is a loose game, and this is one that I've just kind of given up on finding complete at a good price because I've always wanted to play this game. And that is for the Sega Genesis, and is Comix Zone. I've heard a lot of good things about this game. Just again, it's one of those late release paper box games. It's very hard to find complete, at least at a good price. I did get 4 other Genesis games this month, and these were all complete. The first one of these is Quad Challenge. This is a arcade racing game from Namco. I believe it was originally an arcade game, at least, and then this is the home version of that. Next is a game that I thought I owned and realized when I was going through my Genesis collection a few weeks ago that I didn't have this on Genesis, so I decided to grab it as soon as I found one, and that is the original Golden Axe. I did already have the second one, I just for some reason never bought the first one, so now I've got that taken care of. Next is a game that's very hard to find on the Genesis, at least complete. I don't really know what the story is on that, but I've noticed the prices on this are pretty high. I got it very cheap, and that is No Escape, which is based on a flop of a movie. I was very surprised they made a game on this. And then the last thing I got for Genesis, this one has the best cover of probably anything I bought this month for being incredibly over the top, and that is Deadly Moves by Kaneko. So you get to see this guy's face getting completely smashed to bits with blood flying everywhere. One thing I thought was interesting is the Super Nintendo version of this game is edited not only in title but cover. It does have the same art style on the cover, except instead of blood flying everywhere, it's sweat. And instead of being called Deadly Moves, the game is called Power Moves. Regardless, it's a crappy 2D fighting, or one-on-one fighting game, and, you know, other than the cover art, probably not really worth owning. That said, let's move on to some games for the Sega CD. And I got 2 games this month for Sega CD. First one of these is another of the cheesy light gun games that are all FMV video that I kind of like in a way, and that is Who Shot Johnny Rock? This is part of the same series of games like Mad Dog McCree and Crime Patrol for the system, so figured I had to have this one too. American Laser Games is the company that originally made these, and these were Laserdisc arcade games that they ported to the Sega CD. The other game I got for Sega CD I don't really know a whole lot about. I got this one just a couple days ago, and that is Masked Rider Kamen Rider Zo, I guess is how you say that. It looks to be a QTE game, and I kind of like those QuickTime event games, so maybe this is pretty decent. Don't really care about the license, but it's not one you see every day. So next I'll talk about some games I got for the PS1. I think PS1 has been kind of one of my top interests over the last few months, and I got quite a few more games for the PS1 this month that I was looking for. One thing I've really noticed lately, it's climbing in value, is games that are black label versions that are technically reprints of the long box games that got moved over to jewel case releases. Seems like these were very low prints in most cases. It was probably just due to store shelves needing less space to put those big box cases in. And I'm assuming they made some small runs of these in jewel cases just to take care of that interim until some of these became greatest hits down the road. So the first one of these that you don't see very often, at least in my area, is the original Twisted Metal in the jewel case version. Originally this was, of course, a long box game. Next one is another one of those, same situation, that is the original Tekken. Somewhat easy to find in a long box, but the jewel case version is getting very expensive and it is very tough to find. So nice to have that in my collection as well. Next one is Pandemonium. I'm pretty sure this also was a long box game. I'd have to check on that. I do have the second game in the series already, and I also have the Saturn version of this game, but I figured I might as well own it for PS1 as well. So, pretty interesting game from what I understand. I did like the one on the Saturn. I'm assuming this one will play just about the same as that. Next is an oddball release that I just picked up because not something I see regularly, and that is The Hive. Early release in a jewel case, but has double discs and, I don't know, decent looking 3D graphics on the back. I have no idea what this game's really about, though. Next was a game I've been wanting for quite some time. I just don't really see it too often. Found one of these in Arkansas this month, and that is Vandal Hearts 2. I still do need the original Vandal Hearts, but this one is one I've been looking for quite some time. My understanding is just a tactical RPG by Konami, and I don't know, you don't see it very often. Another game I don't see real often, don't really know a whole lot about, because I'm not super big on the license, is Alien Resurrection. So, nice to get that one too. This next game is one that seems to be very difficult to find on the PS1, but it also doesn't seem to go for a lot of money, so maybe one to be looking at in the future. This one was interesting to me to read an online review about it from a few years ago, and that is called The Divide: Enemies Within. The review likened this to a Super Metroid for the PS1 and said that they did an interview with the designers and that apparently they were heavily influenced by Super Metroid. This was a very early jewel case release for the PS1. I think it had a low budget, was very, under the rug release, but could be one to look at in the future. I don't know. I'm actually very excited. I want to play this one soon. Next is one that I thought I had in the collection, but it turned out I didn't, and this was one I found in Arkansas as well. This is Street Fighter Alpha 3, and one of the reasons I wanted this one, because I know it's kind of a subpar port of this game, is that it is part of the Fighter's Edge series, and I do want to have all the Fighter's Edge release games. One other interesting thing to note about this, I found this at a store in Arkansas that I was very excited to visit that kind of has some YouTube fame around it. I think there's been a famous duo who likes to frequent this store, and I really enjoyed getting to meet the owner of it. I had a good time talking to them. I will say that one of those things that you always wonder is, are the owners of these stores really that friendly with these YouTube celebrities that come in and film? Basically, the other side of the story I got on this one was, no, they're not. So one of those things you have to question is when you see those YouTube videos is this really reality TV style stuff I'm watching? And kind of in this case, I would say it seems to be. So not trying to stoke drama there, but I thought that was an interesting little story to share. Next is One. This is a Contra-style game for the PS1. I believe this had a lot of hype around it when it came out, and you can get this game extremely cheap now, so I decided to check it out. Next is Judge Dredd. This is one of the games that supports the Namco Gun Con, so that was one of the reasons I wanted it. Kind of trying to go for a full set of all the light gun games for the system, so I don't really expect much from this, but that was the reason I wanted it. And speaking of light gun games, this is another one. This is Maximum Force. This one was a arcade game by Midway, and I have the Saturn version of this already, but decided to go ahead and grab it on the PS1 also. And then last but not least for the PS1 this month, I got one I've been looking for quite some time as well, and that is the original port of Ogre Battle, Deluxe Edition or whatever if you want to call it, for the PS1. So this is a very nice package by Atlas. Kind of has a working designs type thing going on with the foil on the cover, so I think that's a nice touch, and very happy to get that for the PS1 collection. So that being said, PS1 again is kind of one of my hottest things I'm going after lately, and it seems to be a good time to jump on it because a lot of these prices on the PS1 stuff are starting to climb. So I have a couple games for the PS2 this month I got. First one of these is Aero Elite Combat Academy. Not normally the type of game I would care about, but I noticed this was not only first a Sega release game, but also a game developed by AM2, which is Yu Suzuki's branch of Sega. So I'm very curious about this. This might actually be, worth playing. I don't know. Hopefully it's somewhat like Afterburner or some of the other games that he was involved in. So we'll see. Next one I got for the PS2 is Ape Escape 2. This is a game I don't really see that often, so I decided to grab it. I recently got Ape Escape 1 for the PlayStation, and I don't know, I kind of liked that game, so maybe this one will be pretty good too. I got one game for the PS3 this month. This is a game that's been on my list for quite some time. It just seems like the price never drops on it. I noticed that the prices are getting a little bit lower on this, so I decided to grab it, and that is Dragon's Crown. This was one of those, I believe, Vanillaware games that came out for the PS3, so excited to try this. I like 2D beat-em-ups, and hopefully this is going to be pretty good. I got a couple games for the PSP this month. This first one is one I've been wanting for some time, and was lucky enough to find this on the Arkansas trip. That is Ys, the Oath in Felghana, I believe is how you say this. This was, I believe, an enhanced version of Ys 3 or Ys 4? Ys 3, yeah, so hopefully it's pretty good. I like the XC double-sided cover on this. Pretty nice package. And this is the one that if you get the 3 games on the PSP in the series, the spines will spell out Ys, and I'm a total sucker for that kind of thing. So I do have all of them now, and I'll be able to complete that little subset. So very happy to get this one. The other thing I got for the PSP, and this is not at all the type of thing I normally collect, is a limited edition box. Normally I just think these things are just giant shelf wasters and the stuff that's in them isn't that cool, but I got this one really cheap and I might end up selling it. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet. But that is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and as far as I'm concerned, it comes with a big old box, but I think there's really just like a soundtrack CD and an art book in there. Really nothing that fantastic, but I am kind of curious about this game, so we'll see. Alright, switching gears, talk about some games for the TurboGrafx 16, a system I don't normally find a whole lot for usually. The first one is just a HuCard only. This is one that I was very excited to get, and one of my local stores got this in. That is Time Cruise, and this is a pinball game for the TurboGrafx. I was a little disappointed though, and this is very strange, but I already owned Time Cruise 2 on the PC Engine, thinking that, okay, great, now I'll have the first one and I've already got the second one. It turns out the US branded Time Cruise is the exact same game as Time Cruise 2 on the PC Engine. Reading into the history, once I popped this in and decided to play it and said this is the exact same game, I learned that there actually never was a true Time Cruise 1. Apparently it was in development, the developer just decided to scrap it and went ahead and released the second one as Time Cruise 2, even though the first one didn't exist. Super confusing history on that. I don't know if I'm going to keep this or maybe get rid of the PC Engine one, or I don't know, but basically I have two copies of the exact same game. It is a cool pinball game though and worth playing. I got a very uninteresting title for the Turbo this month, and that is Power Golf. Don't exactly care about this at all, but it was dirt cheap. And then the game of the month for me, as it is, this is one I'm extremely excited to add to my collection. This is Bastille for the TurboGrafx. The reason I wanted this game more than anything else I got this month is this is the last Working Designs title I needed for the complete set of Working Designs games across all platforms. So very shortly I should be also making a video of my complete Working Designs collection. This one has been a thorn in my side to get because it came with a map originally, and I didn't want to buy this game without the map. So I did find this copy that had the map. It doesn't have the outer paper sleeve thing that it originally came with, but I don't really care. But very happy to get this one off my list and finally finish that Working Design set that I've been working on for a long, long time. So very cool to get this game. I have played it before. I did not like this game. I actually used to own this and got rid of it. So it was kind of a sting to have to pay for it again at a much higher price. But that said, whatever, it's done and I can move forward from there. Let's talk about some games for Xbox systems. So I got one game for the original Xbox this month, and that is SVC Chaos. Now I got it. SNK versus Capcom. This is one of the collaboration games by SNK and Capcom. I believe this is the one that was more developed by SNK and has more of their art style to the graphics. So I think this one kind of flies under the radar a little bit because it didn't get a release on PS2 and GameCube like most of the other ones in this series did. So this is a interesting exclusive for the original Xbox. Decided to grab it. I got a couple games for the Xbox 360 this month. First one of these is Concept Saga. This is a long-running series in Japan, and I believe we've only gotten 2 of these in the US. So very excited to get this. It looks like it has some really strong graphics based on the artwork on the back. So looking forward to trying it. The other one I got for the 360, I think this is going to be an incredibly rare game in the future. This is pretty much the first time I've ever seen this game in a store, so I decided to grab it. And that is BCFX, the Black College Football Experience. What interested me about this game is, besides being a very obscure topic to base a game on, it was interesting that it is not only a subpar football game, but it has Guitar Hero style drumline battles in the halftime show that you can play. So very interesting package. I don't think they made a lot of these, and excited to get this in the collection just before people start to discover this one. Let's move on to some Nintendo systems. So I got a couple games as upgrades for my NES collection that were complete. Both of these were in very nice shape, so I was excited to add these. First one of these is Tecmo NBA Basketball. This one has a very long style manual. It's kind of unusual that one of the non-RPG games has a manual that size. So just an interesting sidebar there. And then the other one that I got that I didn't really think was anything that special when I picked it up. I looked this game up later online and was like, wow, that game goes for a lot. So got this at a nice price. That is Lethal Weapon, and I think the reason it goes for such a high price is this was a very late release NES game. I think it came out in late '93, so nice to upgrade again to a complete copy of this game. I also think it's interesting they call this Lethal Weapon, but it has the artwork from Lethal Weapon 3 on the cover, so just an interesting little tidbit there. Some Super Nintendo games I got this month, nothing real exciting. I got Football Fury. This is a game I've been waiting to get for a long time just because every time I find it, the labels are trashed. So I don't think it's really made a whole lot of these, but nice to have a somewhat decent copy of this. Next is another game that seems to always have trash labels when I find it, and that is Spawn. Remember Crack Lotus talked about this in a recent video, so looking forward to trying this. And then the last game I got for Super Nintendo was an upgrade to a complete copy. This is a game that you can buy very cheap, but I do think it's a good one for the Super Nintendo, and that is Excalibur 2097. So nice to get a complete copy of that. Let's talk about some games for the GameCube. Or actually, I should just say one game for the GameCube. This was an upgrade for me. I had a Player's Choice copy of this before, and now I have a nice first print run copy, and that is Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. So nice to get that. And then I'll talk about some games I got for the Wii. The first one of these is another upgrade for me. I had this game already, but it was missing the bonus disc, and so now I have one that has the bonus disc included, and that is Guilty Gear. Let me get this whole title right. Guilty Gear XX Core, or Guilty Gear XX Core Accent Core Plus. Something like that. It's a ridiculous title. It's like Super Street Fighter 2 Plus Alpha Squared or something. Anyway, this one is very tough to find for the Wii. Very excited to get this, and you know, again, nice to have one that has the bonus disc included. So cool to get that. Next one I got for the Wii is Hooked Again. This one was probably another late release low print run game, and the other interesting thing it came with was the fishing controller thing that was originally sold with it. I don't have the big box that it came in, but it has this tacky gold accented fishing rod controller, which I don't really know what's up with that. So anyway, nice to have that for a strange Wii curiosity. Next is a Wii game that I don't see often and I don't hear talked about much, but I think it's interesting because this was a first-party Nintendo release, and again, very low-key release. So it is Mystery Case Files: The Malgrave Incident. It's my understanding it's just kind of like a point-and-click adventure game, and somewhat late release, so I don't know, it could be hard to find in the future. Decided to grab it. Next is a game that a lot of people have a ton of nostalgia for, and it also goes for a lot of money on the Wii, and that is the Oregon Trail. I never played Oregon Trail in grade school, believe it or not. The computers at my grade school were so crappy, I don't even think they could run this game, so we never had it. But I heard a lot of the other friends and my peers that went to different types of schools all seemed to have Oregon Trail and always talked about how cool it was. So maybe I'll get into this re-released, upgraded version of it. Maybe not. We'll see. And then the second to last thing I got for the Wii is Escape from Bug Island. This was a Japanese-developed game that I think also didn't really sell a whole lot of copies. It was a pretty early Wii release, too, which is kind of interesting about that. But interesting to try this. It seems just to be a disgusting survival horror game starring a whole bunch of ugly bugs, so we'll see. And then the last thing I got for Wii is a big box release, and I was very excited to get this in new condition. That is Gunslingers. And if you've been watching my videos, you know I got just the game for this a few months ago, but this is the first time I've got the full pack that has the 2 revolvers and everything in here. So not sure how well you can see this box, but it's an interesting big box package for this. The story that goes along with this is I've been looking for this for a long time. It goes for a lot of money on eBay, and just really didn't want to pay those kind of prices. But what's interesting is I noticed on the GameStop website, this game is not even listed. It does not have a listing for just the game or the package or anything. But for one reason, one day I was playing around on the GameStop app, and they do have the package listed on the app. They were blowing out new copies of this on the app only, for some reason it does not show up on the website, for $12. So I put in an order, crossed my fingers, figured it would probably get deleted, it didn't actually exist, and this showed up like 3 days later. So went back to order another one and tell some friends about it, and it's gone now. So I don't know what the fluke was there. Maybe I got the very last copy that was lingering around their warehouse, but that said, I've got a nice complete copy of Gunslingers, so I will take that for what it is. Let's talk about some Nintendo portables, and then I'll go into some accessories, and we'll wrap up the video. So, first portable game I got this month was for the Game Boy Color. This was a somewhat nice condition Game Boy Color version of Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. And I had Oracle of Ages already, so this was nice to complete that little combo set of those. These were the Capcom-developed Zelda games, as weird as that sounds. And they're decent. They're basically just like trying to copy off of Link to the Past with some twists to the story. Didn't really get into Ages, so maybe this one will be a little better. I don't really remember what the difference is between the two. They're probably very similar. So nice to have that regardless. I got one game for the Game Boy Advance complete, and I was very excited to find this also. That is F-Zero GP Legend. I like the F-Zero series. This is just one I never had, so nice to have that. And then I got 3 games for the Nintendo DS. First one of these is Advance Wars Days of Ruin. This is one of 2 Advance Wars games on the system, and probably the more difficult one to find, so nice to get that. I got Lunar Dragon Song, and I always thought the Lunar series was pretty good, and I heard from Crack Lotus that this game is terrible, so kind of dampened my enthusiasm on that one. And the last thing I got for the DS is Lost in Blue 3. I have a couple of the other Lost in Blue games, I just never had this one, and hopefully this is pretty good. So let's talk about some accessories I got this month. One of the weird things I found in Arkansas that I found out later is somewhat desirable is this Atari 2600 joystick, and this is called the TAC2, but it has an even better acronym for what that stands for. It is the Totally Accurate Controller. This is actually a very high quality joystick for its era. It's not super clicky or anything like that, but you can tell it has nice metal construction, and looking forward to trying this out on the Atari 2600. I think this is going to be a keeper. So very good quality controller. My understanding these were very expensive when they were new. One thing I did need desperately for my Sega Genesis, or my JVC XI, was a quality extension cable, and I ended up, for some reason, finding first-party Genesis extension cables in the box, so I grabbed one of these. And the last thing I got this month was a few manuals, and I'll show you those real quick. I got a manual for Gradius Interstellar Assault for the Game Boy. It's a game that I really do enjoy on that system. I got a manual for The Amazing Spider-Man on the original Game Boy. And finally, I got a manual for Restar on the Genesis, which I still need a box for this one, but it is a very cool game for the system. So that about wraps it up. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and I will talk to you soon.